time to start our board meeting, so I'm, have to, excuse me just a minute, there we go. I'm gonna have to do some housekeeping details here. And good afternoon, and thank you for joining the Washtenaw County Road Commission for our August the 18th virtual board meeting. Before we start the meeting, there are a few housekeeping items to cover. Number one of which, if you would like to make public comment during this meeting, we will prompt you at the appropriate time in the agenda to virtually raise your hand. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button at the bottom right of your screen. If you've dialed into our meeting from your touch-tone phone, you can virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. Once we get to the public comment section on the agenda, we will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time. Number two, the chat feature on this Zoom meeting is available only as a technical support for users on their computer or their smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our IT manager will help you troubleshoot. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded. A link to the video will be posted to wcroads.org in the coming days. Today's meeting agenda is posted on wcroads.org, and there is a link available in the chat if you are joining us from your computer. I will now call the meeting to order and call a roll for the attendance. Currently speaking is the chairman, Doug Fuller. Vice Chair, excuse me, Barb Fuller.
Present.
Thank you. Rod Green. Gloria Yamas.
Present.
Joanne McCollum.
Present.
Director Siddell.
Here.
County's Highway Engineer, Mr. McDonnell.
Present.
Director of Operations, Mr. Herman.
Present.
Director of Finance and IT, Mr. Ackerman.
Here.
Thank you all. It is our standard practice to begin our board meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. Since we are hosting this meeting virtually today, instead, we will start this meeting with a moment of silence to honor all those helping to battle the coronavirus and for those who have been killed by this terrible disease. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Could I have
So
a motion,
moved.
please? Thank you.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All votes on a virtual meeting are roll call votes. So Chairman Doug Fuller votes aye. Barb Fuller,
Yes.
Rod Green, Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Joanne McCullough.
Yes.
Thank you. We have, I believe, 3 minutes to consider today. The first of which is the board meeting minutes of August the 4th, 2020. Could I have a motion on those minutes, please?
I move acceptance of the board meeting minutes of August 4th, 2020 as presented.
Thank
Support.
you. Been supported as well. Are there any additions, corrections, comments about those minutes? Hearing none, we will have a roll call vote to approve those minutes. Again, we'll start with Barb Fuller,
Yes.
Rod Green,
Yes.
Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
and Doug Fuller votes yes as well. We have accepted those minutes. Then, actually by the agenda, we have the minutes of a closed session that was held during the regular board meeting on August the 4th. And that should have been provided to the board members only. Could I have a motion on the closed session minutes, please?
I motion to accept the closed session, excuse me, minutes of August 4th, 2020 board meeting.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll start with, again, with roll call vote. Barb Fuller,
Yes.
Rod Green,
Yes.
Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
and Doug Fuller votes yes as well. Then we also then need a motion on the working session minutes of August the 4th, 2020, which begins on page 13 in the handbook, or excuse me, in the board packet. Could I have a motion on the working session minutes of August the 4th, please?
Commissioner, I move to accept the working minutes of August 4th.
Been moved?
Second.
Second, thank you. Are there comments on those minutes? Additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote to approve that. Barb Fuller,
Yes.
Rod Green,
Yes.
Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Doug Fuller votes yes as well. Those minutes have all been accepted. Thank you. Now we move on to public comment. And this is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allocated 3 minutes to address the board. Emily, have we got anyone that has virtually raised their hands?
At this time, there's no one who has virtually raised their hands.
Thank you. We'll move on to written communications, which in your board packet starts on page 16. Do any of the commissioners have any there we go. Any comments about any of the written communications that came to us? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Could I have a motion on the consent agenda? Please.
Mr. Chairman, I move acceptance. I move approval of the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 9.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Support.
Okay. I believe Rod got his voice in there first. So anyway, been moved and seconded. That also requires a roll call vote. Commissioner Fuller,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum,
Yes.
and the other Commissioner Fuller votes yes as well. Thank you. Moving on to action items under B, on page 44, there we go. County designated all season routes updates. And I'd like to have a motion on those updates, please, which is on page, the proposed motion is on page 41.
I move that upon the recommendation of the County Highway Engineer, Director of Engineering, and concurrence of the Managing Director, The board designates the following roads under the jurisdiction of the Washtenaw County Road Commission as county designated routes all season and exempt from the imposition of seasonal weight restrictions. There are 100 roads listed. Mr. Chairman, do you want them read one by one?
Absolutely not. Thank you. Page 41. I'm sorry, the chair is having difficulty reading page numbers at the moment. Okay. We have a motion. Could I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Those in favor of the motion, and we'll start with Barb Fuller, Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Gloria, yes.
and Doug Fuller votes yes as well. So that has been approved. The second item under the action item B, I'm going to propose a motion simply because I know the people involved, and the McCrasiff rules of engagement of the electing members of their board relies on, in this particular case specifically, there is a 3-year at-large position and a 1-year at-large position. Those will be awarded in this particular case because of their bylaws of that insurance pool by the number of votes each person receives. So the highest number of votes for the at-large seat will be the 3-year term, and the lower number of votes will be the 1-year term. So I'm going to read a proposed motion here. The Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners hereby approves Tom Doty of Mackinac County Road Commission for a 3-year Upper Peninsula Road Builders Association region position, and Doug Robideau of the Mason County Road Commission for a 3-year Northern Michigan Association of Road Commissions position, and Beth Hunt of the Lenawee County Road Commission for the 3-year at-large position, and Jesse Campbell of the Alcona County Road Commission for the 1-year at-large position. Those commissioners, those individuals who are not necessarily commissioners at all, but they're on either they're members of the staff or they are commissioners of their respective county road commissions, are all incumbents. They are all doing a good job. I have no issue with Jesse Campbell or Beth Hunt, who are competing for the 3-year or 1-year at-large position. Beth Hunt is from the Lenawee County Road Commission. We work closely with the Lenawee County Road Commission on a number of items because we share a border every year. So I suggest that, as I read in the motion, that Beth Hunt be our first choice for that position. So anyway, that having been said, that is a motion. I would welcome someone second for me.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Is there any discussion, questions about that motion? Thank you. In that case, we'll have a roll call vote. Barb Fuller,
Yes.
Rod Green,
Yes.
Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
and Doug Fuller votes yes. And I thank you. Okay, now, if the chair can get back to the agenda. We are now at reports, and I would ask you, do we have a county commissioner that would like to give a report?
We have, excuse me, we have Commissioner Schenk and Commissioner Jamnick on joining us today. So I'm going to unmute Commissioner Schenk first.
Okay. Good afternoon,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you very much. My only report is just to say that I appreciate the extensive conversation on the environmental measures that the Road Commission takes, because although I knew that you did do a lot, I didn't know exactly all of it. And so it's nice to hear it all. And then also I want to say that I'm really excited about all the progress that is being made on the Border to Border Trail. And I've heard a lot of very positive comments about it in the community. So thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And now, Commissioner Jamnick, would you like to make a report? I think she
Ruth Ann, you
may,
there?
I think she may have stepped away, Commissioner.
That's fine. She can join us later if she'd like. So road commissioners reports, and we'll start with the vice chair. Barb?
No report, thank you.
Okay. Rod Green? Don't hear anything from Rod either.
To report.
Okay, thank you. And Joanne McCollum,
Nothing to report.
Gloria Yamas.
Nothing to report.
Okay, boy, that was quick. I'll make a couple of comments. One is Sunday afternoon, I was out for a drive and noticed that we were rapidly closing in on Kavanaugh Lake Road. And then I drove down just to view it for first time in probably 2 months or so. I drove down to Lehman Road, where we had installed a culvert earlier this year. And I was pleased to report that that culvert A is where I expected to find it still. And I had to stop and remind myself that we had actually had some rain, because there was quite a lot of water flowing through that. And that culvert the water through that culvert actually flows from the south to the north, which is 180 degrees opposite. So I actually used my telephone map and realized that that's a tributary to Mill Creek, which meanders all over those townships out there, including there. And that particular one goes up to the borderline of the Chrysler Proving Grounds and flows east. So, Jim, I'd like you to pass along that that's an absolutely textbook way of what one of those culverts is supposed to look like. So with that comment, we'll move on to the managing director, Cheryl.
Let me unmute myself.
Okay.
Included in your board packets was the staff report for the period end of July through August 9th. And then in addition, we also have a communications report from mid-July to mid-August. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have on either of those. In addition, I would just like to share, and again, I think I already sent this out, at our last meeting, it was primary election day. So pleased to share once again that the county road and non-motorized millage did pass by over 76%. So we're quite proud of that. Once again, would like to thank both Commissioner Schenk and Commissioner Jamnick for allowing that to be on the ballot. We like to think that that is a reflection of obviously the level of support of all of those that we serve in Washtenaw County. So thank you for access to the ballot on that. And on the staff side of things, there's a couple people I'd particularly like to call out. Both Matt and Alan Squire worked feverishly on putting the original plan together. There were multiple iterations of the plan that was like, okay, we sliced it this way. Now let's slice it that way. Now let's take public comment. Let's do let's do that. So they were very patient in getting us to a plan that we would like to think reflects the priorities of many communities involved. In addition, last fall, which seems like forever ago, Matt, Jim, and Emily, myself, did put on a group of meetings primarily aimed at our local elected officials, sort of educating and re-educating them on the importance of the county millage and the asset management principles, which really is the foundation for how we did do the project selection and how we spend those very important millage dollars throughout Washtenaw County. So that was a big lift last fall, but I think it went a long way again towards support for the millage. And then, of course, through this most recent period, when it was actually, we were getting before the voters, kudos to Emily, and she just working with her communications peers at both the Huron-Waterloo Path initiatives as well as county parks. They just put in a phenomenal amount of work and effort in sharing the information on the millage, pushing that out there, Millage Mondays, pictures of projects that were completed, and just sharing all the good work that many people, different entities have been doing in support of that millage. So it was a lot of hands that helped make that a successful endeavor, but we're very, very grateful. In addition, there was an advocacy group that worked sort of side by side, and we certainly from the Road Commission staff perspective did a lot with the educational side of things. And we were very appreciative of the advocacy side of that as well. So at the end, very pleased with the outcome, and obviously we're looking forward to 4 more years of the millage. And there will be a roads funding subcommittee this coming Thursday at 8 o'clock. That is once again going to be a Zoom meeting. So we're happy to share those results. And then I'm not sure how often we'll be meeting on that until we get close to the expiration of the next millage. But that'll be fun to have that hopefully last roads funding subcommittee at least for a little while. On the subject of remote attendance at meetings, obviously that's been a subject that we've talked a lot about, specifically with our amending of the bylaws that we currently have. I do want to let you know the governor did extend the state of emergency through September 4th. And per a previous executive order, which allows virtual meetings to take place for up to 28 days after the termination of that state of emergency, that would allow us to hold entirely virtual meetings like the one we're having right now through October 2nd, I believe, if my math is correct on that. Once again, we've talked multiple times about the fact that someday that those executive orders will all end and we will get back to sort of business as usual or whatever our new normal will be post-pandemic or post-executive orders. I just want to assure you that staff has been working on what that would look like. So we've been looking at the boardroom itself and the current setup that we have in there and how we would be able to, in the future, hold meetings that accommodate both those that may attend in person, whether that be commissioners or public, as well as those that would be continuing to attend remotely, again, both commissioners and public. So we're trying to make sure that we have all the tools in place so that we can have highly successful meetings, and that would include, again, the public, both being able to listen in as well as to provide public comment during those meetings, both remotely and in person. So that's an active project that staff's working on right now. In addition, the last thing that I'll share with you before I turn it over to the directors is that Nicole Peterson and I have been meeting with a variety of staff. We've made it out to almost all the yards. Our goal had been all of them, but District 6 has been a little bit of a challenge. They keep insisting they have a lot of work to do right now, but certainly trying to share the information with respect to the changeover to Delta Dental. We do have a Zoom meeting tonight in addition where Delta Dental representatives will be present to answer any questions that staff may have. Nicole and I actually are meeting up with the Northeast Service Center tomorrow morning to conclude those meetings as well. In addition, that will be part of our open enrollment, and Nicole remains available to answer any questions at any time. In addition, we do also have a Zoom meeting tomorrow for any of our retirees that may have questions with respect to the change, because this does affect both active and retirees, or active employees as well as retirees. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have before I turn it over to the directors to report. All right, Jim, would you like to start off?
Yes, please. Thank you. In addition to the significant amount of work that operations personnel completed over this 2-week cycle, I wanted to highlight some things that are actively going on and then answer any questions that the board may have. I've stated before, State Road is a major project that operations undertaken in most part with contracted services. That's a county millage project, part of the current 4-year millage. And again, reminding the board that it entered into agreement with Pittsfield Township Board of Trustees to do some further enhancements on the center section of State Road. The project limits are from Old State near the Walmart down by Michigan Avenue up to the roundabout Ellsworth Road just north of the Ann Arbor Airport. The portion that we are enhancing in partnership with Pittsfield Township between Textile Road and Morgan Road, the center portion, as I would refer to it. And that work is substantively complete. The widening, milling, and repaving of that road occurred about 2 weeks ago. Today, Washtenaw County Road Commission crews are working on some roadside restoration, flattening the foreslope of the road, and realigning some ditches, installing one driveway culvert along that widened section. And we anticipate that work to be completed, that roadside work to be completed the middle of next week. Preliminary information from our contractor, Cadillac Asphalt, is we may begin milling the southern section from Textile down to Old State and the northern section from Morgan Road up to Ellsworth within the next 2 weeks. And the paving would follow immediately after the completion of the milling of the pavement. So hoping to have that done here shortly, probably in September. Another major project that's also a county millage project is Willis Road, the final section of Willis Road, part of our 4-year millage. And that's from Bunton Road to Rawsonville. County Commissioner Jamnick may recall some deteriorated pavement issues at the intersection of Willis and Rawsonville. We did some temporary repairs last year to buy some time until the major project this summer. And we've gone ahead and done further work at that particular intersection to improve the condition. And at this point, completed over the weekend the top course asphalt paving of the entire job. Yesterday, the side road approaches more or less through the Willis Hamlet were completed. And today our contractor is placing the aggregate shoulders along the entire length of the road. That'll be finished this afternoon. Chip seal. We, as the board recalls, have about 110 miles of chip seal coat countywide. Some is funded by millage, some by Michigan Transportation Funds, and a few roads are actually funded locally through our township partners. We are just about done with the chip sealing portion. Our crews are actively working as I speak on Pontiac Trail, and started that yesterday, and we'll finish that today. And tomorrow we will complete East Shore Drive in the hamlet of Whitmore Lake, and then move down tomorrow to Wagner Road, south of the Miller-Wagner intersection, and complete that down to Jackson Road. And then we have a second chip seal that we're placing on April Drive. That's a industrial cul-de-sac on the south side of Jackson Road in Scioto Township. Scioto's funding that work. At that point, commissioners, the chip seal component will be done. And Monday, August 24th, we'll resume fog seal operations. It is our intention to run both of our tar distributors and run 2 separate fog seal crews in order to complete all of that remaining work. There's about 75 miles of fog sealing needs to be done. We anticipate having that done hopefully the 3rd week of September, weather permitting. And then finally, wanted to mention, under contract with the townships and also our millage and MTF funded primary road work, we had about 116,000 tons of limestone and gravel. The majority of that, about 100,000, was limestone. and we have completed it to the point we have about 31,000 tons remaining to be placed, and that equates to about 17 work days. So that work should be done by the end of next month. So excited to progress through this long list. I sent the commissioners an updated list of all of the projects. And at that point, happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Matt, would you like to go next?
Sure. Just wanted to update you on some of the road openings. Always good news to get roads back open after completing projects. Pontiac Trail and 7 Mile roundabout project won the prize in the race between the two roundabouts to get open. That one is open, as well as Textile Road at Woodland Drive. Both those intersection improvement projects are substantially complete and open to traffic. We also got Dennison Road, the culvert repair was done and open to traffic as well.
Matt,
Yes.
let me interrupt just because I keep forgetting Dennison Road. Tell me again, when is the bridge funding for that road going to fall into effect?
So we are currently working on the design for the Dennison Road Bridge. We should have final plans here coming before the board for approval this fall, and with anticipated construction for next year. So that will be a bridge project for next year. That's the anticipation. We're still waiting, getting all our permits. And as we talked this morning, it's quite substantial for bridge projects for all the environmental impacts and all the restrictions. So our plan is to build it next year, but they are 2021 funds, which will get obligated, and the plan is for next year construction.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. Other paving work that got complete under using state and federal funds was Waters Road in Pittsfield Township, and we're working to complete a thing on Whitaker Road in both Augusta and Ypsilanti Township. Still work underway on Kavanaugh Lake Road, just outside of Chelsea. That project is wrapping up. The pavement over the culvert got poured. It was concrete pavement, so we had to let it cure. And then asphalt approaches were laid down and paved. We're waiting shoulders and guardrail before we open to traffic. So we hopefully by the next report next month at our meeting, I'll report that road got open, and you can look for an advisory on open to traffic here shortly. Still work underway at Miller Road and Wagner. That's a single lane roundabout construction. That work is ongoing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about other projects that you may have.
Hi, Matt. So I was
Hello.
wondering about the project on Mansfield Street to Hewitt Road on Congress Avenue. That's still active. I was looking for the Packard job. Has that been completed? The Packard to Washtenaw job?
So Hewitt Road between Packard and Washtenaw, that's upcoming. That should be taking place here shortly, if not already. That is coming up. That's part of our preventative maintenance. The other job you referenced, I think, is part of the local road program. Jim, you might have some information on that one.
Okay.
I do. Gloria, you're referring to Congress Avenue, and that is a county millage project, and that's part of our resurfacing program. I expect that milling and repaving to occur either in September or early October.
Okay. So, and there's work that's happening on Packard Road. That is not us, right? Packard between Washtenaw. where Packard ends onto Washtenaw and Mansfield and just a little bit beyond. Is that our work or someone else's work? It's been going on for quite some time.
I believe that is the city of Ypsilanti.
Correct.
Okay,
Right. That's where it turns to Cross Street.
yes.
Yes, yes, I agree. I believe that that is the city of Ypsilanti. In fact, I just received something from them. I believe that was their millage project.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions on projects?
No, the roads are looking great. You guys do good work.
A lot of investment happening this year.
A lot. All right, Dan, you want to finish us off here?
Be happy to. So today at 2, I'm attending a webinar given by the Michigan Department of Treasury, talking about pension and OPEB and just ways to contain costs. And number 1, I hope to learn some things from it. And number 2, this is the same agency that determines if we pass PA 202. So it's probably best to attend any webinars that they may have, and maybe if we're on the border, hopefully we never are, but maybe they can kind of keep that in mind. So I'll report back if there's anything relevant to share with this group. Besides that, we're getting ready for our workers' compensation audit. We go through that every year with the County Road Association Self-Insurance Fund. That's a mouthful, it's CRASIF. So we've been through it many times and we'll be ready for it, but that's just the annual audit that we go through for workers' compensation. Also, Cheryl mentioned that the millage passed, and I've already updated our 2021 and 2022 budget for the county millage. Staff already had the tentative numbers and wanted to make sure that those got updated, and so that'll be ready to go. And as far as IT, we brought a new password management system. It's called SecureDen. User IDs and passwords, there's so many of them out there, and this is a way to securely store them. And all you need to do is put in your last name, first initial, and then your password to get into your road commission account. And then you have access to all that. And there's also opportunities for groups to share passwords securely as well. So we're hoping that staff utilizes this, and I think it's a nice solution as far as having to remember all these passwords. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Dan, I have one.
Mhm.
Have you heard any new rumors from MDOT about our future Act 51 funding?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. And I've not heard anything besides the estimates that they've provided. I think it was a month or 2 ago, which it is reduced, but not actually as much as I would think. So I certainly can look and see if there's any revised estimates out there. I do know that our previous month, I think that was June, MTF was flat. So I expect our numbers to be similar as last year, which we were hoping for an increase, of course, but it's better than being 5 to 10% lower than last year.
Or 35.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Any other questions?
As you can see, Dan keeps us on our toes constantly. Any money to be spent, Dan is making sure that we are spending it appropriately, of course, but
Right.
spending it
Yes.
nonetheless.
Appropriately, yes, indeed.
All right. Well, that's it from the staff end of things.
Commissioners, anything else from any of the commissioners who would like to get a last word in here?
Did
Would-
Commissioner
could I have a
Jamnick-
motion to adjourn, please?
Excuse me,
Oh.
Mr. Chair, did Commissioner Jamnick rejoin us or no?
She
I
did
guess
not.
not.
Nope, she dropped off the call.
Okay. I move that we adjourn.
I'll second. Okay, there
Support.
we go. Commissioner Barb Fuller,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green, Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes.
Rod, did you ever show up?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Doug Fuller votes yes as well. We are adjourned, and I thank you all.